Okay, so you guys have been asking me how I switched my PS5's controller's D-pad for my PS4 one, since it was giving me a lot of issues in terms of like input errors and whatnot. I decided to try it. I didn't know if it's gonna work or not, but I took a risk. I'm going to be showing how exactly I did it. I did it with this one. As you can see, like, this is the PS4 one. This was the one it originally came with, which kind of sucks because I think it looked way better with this one on, but it just not working. So I'm gonna be doing it with this one. This is my controller, the one I normally would use. I'm going to switch it out just so you guys can see it. So what you want to do first is you gotta crack open the controller, because this controller just like is different from the PS4 one. It actually doesn't have like the screws. You have to crack it open. So like what you want to do first is basically you're gonna crack this button, which normally goes flying. And yes, I'm using a kitchen knife because it's what works best for me. So after you get like the L1 and the R1 button off, you are going to try to crack it open. Like, it's gonna be like, this part is kind of hard because the controller is like tight, kind of tight up. So like you just have to find a little opening and figure out like where exactly it's going to be opening. When you guys get to this part, like, I'm gonna suggest you guys to like be careful, because in this area there's a speaker and I accidentally broke mine off, which I actually don't care that much because I don't use it, but it is definitely something you guys should be aware of. I think like opening it is actually one of the hardest things. It took me forever because I'm not that strong, and also I don't want to break it. There you go. I have a towel here because I don't want like my pieces to go off flying, because when I was doing it last time, it was just like a few screws just like went flying and I didn't want to lose them, so I put on a towel here so if anything falls on the table, like, it stays there. But yeah, I'm taking off these two little screws that are here so we can open it. There's also two more here. Now for this part, you just need to crack it open, which is kind of scary to do because you feel like you're gonna break it. I'm actually not that strong enough to kind of like crack it open easily, but I would definitely suggest to like not put that much force on it either. Thingies, you just kind of separate them a little. There we go. We got it open. Okay, so here's like the scary part. Because here's like when you start seeing some stuff and you're like, okay, what is this? What do I do? Like all that stuff, pull it up. Or you can just disconnect the battery first. So that's like out of the way, doesn't bother. Yeah, I'm gonna take, you don't have to disconnect the battery, you just move it out of the way. But there's a little screw there. This little screw. I'm gonna take it out too. Comes out pretty easily. You want to be careful there because that's actually like where the speaker is connected. It's right there, so you don't want to like just yank it out, so you gotta be a little careful. I'm gonna just flip it here like to get out of the way while I start like disconnecting the sides. Okay, so I took out these two thingies. Now I'm going to take this one on the top. And now you want to carefully, it has a lot of cables, so you got to be like extremely careful. But you want to like carefully like disconnect it. There you go, like you disconnect it. You see the analog sticks. I'm just going to like flip it this way. I'm not gonna touch anything. Right here is the speaker. Like you gotta be like super careful with that. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna unscrew these little screws here, which you could do that prior to what I just did right now. So that it would probably be the best idea. Now that we got the screws out, we're just gonna pop this out a little bit. Removing everything. You just need to separate it. You don't need to remove anything. Just like separate it. Don't pull too hard. And this is basically where we want to be. So everything else we don't have to do. Just because this is where like the buttons are. So these are like the rubber bands. They tend to like break. So like if they're broken, I suggest replacing them because they stop working. Basically, this is how like your buttons just stop functioning. But yeah, here we got like the famous D-pad. If you're asking why I have this little brush here, I just use it to clean it because the controllers get like very dirty. on the inside, so I'm just doing like this. The little brush is easier to clean them than with anything else. Okay, so you want to leave everything exactly how it is. Like, we don't want to touch it. Because that way it'll be a lot more easier to put it back together. So I'm gonna keep this rubber. I'm gonna be using this, and I'm going to take these I have from a previous controller. I had opened it, and I've been using it for like pieces. I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna place it. It doesn't matter exactly how you place it, just place it there. And this is the important part. Like, once you're putting the rubber in, you gotta make sure it is tight in. Like, you're gonna apply a little bit of a pressure until like you see it's not moving. Doesn't really matter exactly how you place it, as long as like you see like it has those little holes in there. As long as it's completely like in there and it's not moving, it's fine. So now we are going to put everything back together again. So I'm just place this here. Put this back. Make sure like it clicks when you put it back together. Now I'm gonna put this, wait, okay. This little ribbon has to go through the hole. There you go. And now you click it. This ribbon, you're gonna put it back there. Make sure it's all the way down to the line. I'm gonna put these ribbons first before I put that. It has like the metal part there. You gotta make sure like the metal is facing towards the analog sticks. You're gonna slide it there and push it. It's kind of hard to do it on camera, I'm not gonna lie. Make sure you push it down to like the first line. You see how it has 2 lines? This thing has 2 lines. You gotta push it completely to the first line. Because if not, like that side, it's just not gonna work. Now we're gonna be putting this in. Get a screw. Get the battery, place it back in there. So after you put the battery, you put in these screws. After you put in these little screws, are you gonna put in the back of the controller? You want to squeeze it together so it closes. It's still gonna feel like a little bit open because you still have to put in like the main part, which is what holds it all together. But just try to squeeze everything. My controller's on, yes. Now here, before you put everything together, make sure like the buttons feel right. Like you don't feel like they're sticking out or something. Okay. So now we are going to put in these little screws here. After the bottom screws are in, you're gonna want to put this in. What you have to do with this, you know how they have like the little tips here? You're gonna kind of like put it like this in there. And then you're gonna push. And then you squeeze everything together. And then the last thing you want to put in are the R1 and the RL1. Oh my god.